Okay, Hawke's Bay, here's a new idea for you which you probably haven't considered. I call this Hawke's Bay cutting yourselves loose. If Hawke's Bay cut itself loose from New Zealand's central government and the New Zealand society in general as a political economic unit, to the end of claiming almost complete autonomy as a mini-state, then it would have the opportunity to rapidly become much richer, much more efficient, much less corrupt, and a lot safer and more peaceful. It would inherit the power to run policies that work, dissolve vast amounts of bureaucratic bloat, and deal decisively with its dangerous offenders. It can also attract business investment with ease and regulate its own borders. Hawke's Bay pays nearly 50% of its income to Wellington. And why? For the privilege of asking for some of that money back. With strict conditions attached, of course. I mean, the situation really is quite insane. I mean, imagine you earned or saved up $10,000 and then you handed it to me because I decided that I'm better than you and I know how to spend your money better than you do. And then I give you that money back while telling you, forcing you to spend it exactly how I think it should be spent, even though I don't understand your situation as well as you do by any measure. That's the situation that we tolerate today. It's absolutely crazy and totally unnecessary. All it does is it leads to administrative waste, poor spending decisions, politicised spending decisions, and I would argue political apathy from the public, because no one in a 5 million plus population democracy can win an influential voice without a great deal of money or friends in the media, which makes your opinions mean as little as your vote. Maybe it's time to have the conversation on political decentralisation for New Zealand, or at least promote the option to good potential regions. Now, it should be stressed that this idea is not in any way radical. The model I'm thinking of is closely matched to the Swiss political system, which is heavily decentralised. Switzerland is the most democratic, stable, and also one of the richest nations on earth. And it's been that way for a very long time. That is a fact. So what I'm proposing can be best described as proven good practice, as opposed to some kind of foolish revolution. Hawke's Bay, I would argue, is an excellent candidate for secession. The weather is exceptional and the topography is excellent, making it inherently attractive. And they're very, very, going forward into the future, you'll see that those particular advantages will become ever more significant, because in the high-tech society that we're moving into over the next coming decades, it's basically the only thing you can't buy quite easily is a really nice climate all round to live in. So you'll find that Hawke's Bay becomes particularly competitive from that variable alone. Okay, it also has a sound economy with enormous potential. And it has a port, facilitating secure trade with the entire world, not just New Zealand, making it economically safe. So in the freak case scenario that New Zealand decides to not trade with you at all, or put huge, import tariffs on New Zealand, or export tariffs, doesn't matter too much, because you got your safety valve, you can still trade with the rest of the world. So the worst that can possibly happen in these unlikely scenarios is still fairly benign. Don't worry, you will have a roof over your head and you will eat. Okay, Hawke's Bay could turn itself also into what I call a special economic zone, or what is typically called a special economic zone. This is where the district, a localised district, self-regulates so as to make itself make good sense for new investment. Laying off excessive taxes, laying off toxic regulations that suffocate business investment by making everybody else, other than yourself, attractive for investment. And what that means in effect is that hand saws get replaced with chainsaws, increasing the productivity per person per hour worked, allowing you to get the same living standard working 30 hours a week that others will have working 50 hours a week. And that's what economic development is all about. creating a comfortable lifestyle and a lot of spare time. Economic development is not hard, at least when you haven't got naive socialists controlling your media, which is New Zealand's situation today, if I may dare say that, or special interest-driven central governments spending your tax base on politically protected junk. The best example I can think of politically protected junk, and it's everywhere, believe you me, is with the tertiary sector. A modern degree can be reduced to a tiny little chip that you chuck on your cell phone that you can learn from. It is grotesquely bloated as an industry. And on top of that, most of the degrees that people get and attend aren't really worth anything in true developmental terms. So why hasn't the free market, taken it out back and put it through the mincer and compressed it to what's truly economically rational? Protectionism, government protectionism. It's just incredible. But my point is, when you've got smaller economies where people are truly engaged and therefore naturally interested in learning about these basic things, it becomes much, much harder for special interests and unions to hijack governments to pull a big, fat, grand, nasty number on the entire wider society. Right, I'm not suggesting that Hawke's Bay isolates itself. Crossing a provincial border to the wider New Zealand would be seamless and virtually costless for both goods and people, especially with modern electronic systems, I'll add. I'm only talking about winning the serious advantages that can come from choosing autonomy, choosing the right to make your own rules and spend your own money, because nobody knows your local situation better than you do. Because, and this is the catch cry at the bottom of it all, and it's absolutely true, because good government is always small government. Thank you. And a final note, refer to my included video, Choose Your World, to consider the idea further, and also my blog post from Building Utopia, titled The Only Solution, Secession Movements in New Zealand. All links added below this YouTube video. Thank you.